Okay, hey guys, welcome to the live. I don't know why my StreamYard isn't kicking in. Oh, there it finally kicks in. Being a turtle. Had to tell it hello 3 times. Anyways, you guys, welcome to the live. Is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday. Yeah. Happy hump day on there. But anyways, thank you for joining. I was talking with uh Brad on just on Messenger a little earlier today, and he sent me a little video. That's why you'll see on this thumbnail it said Mackenzie'S, and I'll tell you which Mackenzie it was with his daughter there. Recording Brad, and so I'll be asking you guys in just a bit. Why do you think that they are doing that? Just whatever. But anyways, before we get started, if you don't mind hitting that like and share for Jack and Lily. And actually, who I want to hit the like and share the most is Mike Damon. I would really love for you to hit that like and share the most because it always is about the victims, always first and foremost before anything else. So that's who I would truly love to hit the like and share, since he thinks that that it's just basically me acting like I'm just doing the boo-hoo thing. So I'm just going to call that one out because I think that's really personally disgusting when someone sits there and tries to demean this channel. He's done it many times, but I'm just going to call a spade on this one. So Mike, if you're watching this ever, just please hit the like and the share, because from the bottom of my heart I truly mean that. Okay, so I just wanted to say that. I just find it so pathetic that, like, anyone that knows this channel knows how this channel works. It would ever try to diminish from someone hitting the like and the share in the sake of the missing and the murdered, and think that I'm just doing it for what? What am I doing it for? Am I doing it for clicks and views? No. Obviously I do lives as I can, and I did a ton of lives. But for me, always and foremost, there's nothing above the missing and the murdered when it comes to cases. And obviously we want, people to hit the like and share so it keeps it out in our algorithm and stuff like that. So it does mean a lot. Okay, so it means a lot to the channel, and that's the only reason why I would ever even say that, because why wouldn't you want to hit a like, at least a like, right? Just to keep it out in the algorithm when it becomes to the missing and the murdered. So, again, Jack and Lily disappeared May 2nd, 2025. We hit the 10-month mark on the second 2 days ago. Same day that, ironically, right, 10-month day that Daniel Martell made his way into the courtroom. Can't tell you enough. Big smile on my face with that one. We'll see how that all works out. His next court date is March 30th for him. And so, anyways, yeah, so thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys very much. I'll just quickly, okay, I'll just say hi to quickly, if I don't mind. Hi, Lynn. How are you? Nancy's in the house. Hi, Robin. 007's in the house. Shannon's in the house. Hey, Shannon. Snarky Pants. I like that name, Snarky Pants. Hi, Nurse. How are you? And let's see here. Scrolling. Streamlabs is in the house finally. Hi, Chicken Whisperer. you know, is that anything to do at all, just with the KFC running joke at all? That's all I'm thinking about now when I see that. Clear as glass. Welcome. Hi, Colleen. Nice to see ya. Ange is in the house. TJ Z Mom is in the house. And is that did I catch every Sesame Seeds in the house? Boss Man, there's Boss Man. That's Brad right there. Thank you, Brad. Been a minute on there. So anyways, yeah, you guys got a shit ton of snow over there. The most amount of snow that I have seen this year was nighttime, like whatever, like 2 o'clock in the morning or something. And I was looking out the window and I was like, is that a couple of flakes falling from the sky? That was our winter. That's it. That's all I seen besides the frost on the ground. Because don't forget, I'm from Vancouver, so for us to see snow down in the this part in the lower mainland, yeah, you're lucky if you see it maybe once or twice and I haven't seen snow besides those few flakes in probably like about a year and a half at least. And that's okay. You guys can have it. Uh, I seen all the snow in the video that Brad took today. And oh, hi, Chelsea. How are you? And prayers to you, prayers to your mom, of course, Belinda. The wife's in the house. Hi, Mary, Mary, Mary. I always think of that song. Actually, I had a couple customers today with that name, and I always think of that song, Mary, Mary. Hi, Ginger. How are you? Truth for me. Okay, chicken whisperer. Okay, you know what? I think I'm just hi, Gray Wolf. How are you? Power of loveism. Let's spread that around, shall we? Powerlism. Truth for me. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you guys again very much. Please hit that like and the share, at least, or minimum the like. Just to, again, keep Jack and Lily's faces out there, their names out there. Everyone knows that this story is very tragic. There's two beautiful children that still there's no answers for that. For them. Most people, like myself, believe that these children are no longer alive. That just breaks my heart to even think that anyone would harm a hair on children or anyone for that matter, right? But it's so hard to look at children because they're innocent to me. They deserve so, like, children deserve everything from parents. Just everything. That's, when you have children, you have the responsibility of, making sure that there's, a roof over their head, that they're fed, they live in a decent, clean environment, they're well loved and cared after and for. And of course, I mean, obviously there's situations that do happen. And I think we've all been in it when you have kids, is all of a sudden the kids give you a shit of your life when all of a sudden they just quickly take off somewhere and you were just looking at them and stuff like that, make your heart freaking just for a moment. But so imagine 10 months into it that, these hearts are hollow because they have no answers. These are the saddest situations for me, and I have the utmost empathy when it comes to the unknown of what happened to somebody. We have it with Sebastian Rogers. We have it with Nancy Guthrie. We have it with a ton of cases. Thank goodness for the DNA and the way it's transpired, especially with the familial DNA and stuff like that that are bringing closure to a ton of cases. That's always good. But I can't, stress enough myself. Um, I I have the biggest empathy for anyone that doesn't have answers. That is the God most awful pain a heart could absolutely feel. Okay. Is just that feeling of not knowing, just even when you feel like kind of like in the Nancy Guthrie case, Savannah Guthrie, the TV Today Show host there, her mom and family, and they're at that point now that it's been over a month, and the realization of chances are that she is not alive, and that's sad. An 84-year-old lady taken from her home, right? And what for? Why are people so evil? Why do these disgusting pieces of shit pigs that make you just freaking sick to your stomach to know that these people out there would ever harm a head on anyone's head? But they do, they exist. But children especially, they just they just have such a huge special place in my heart because they are innocent and they deserve so much more. And all we've seen throughout this case is weird. Okay, we'll keep it as that. It's been weird to say the least. The mom's actions of Malaya Brooks Murray have been weird. Daniel Martell has, you know, basically inconsistent lies, BS, on top of manure, on top of manure, on top of manure, to the point that you don't know what to believe. So you just don't. The only thing you start believing is that the time is when they got home by the, with Google Maps or whatever, versus the time that a 911 call come in. Those are the only timestamps that you truly believe, because you can't, just by watching what we have, do we believe Daniel Martell? Not. Do we believe Malaya Brooks Murray? Some people do. You know, when I look at the whole situation, even I was talking to my twin sister last night, you know, and you're trying to understand how these two children disappeared, that their timeline doesn't make sense at all. It just feels like it's full of like how many, like 50 divot holes, right? And you just go like, and then Janie and just all the BS of this entire case. And all you want is truth and answers, because that's what those children deserve. They deserve people to care about them and not make excuses. And one of my biggest pet peeves, like I said yesterday, is when you're a parent, you put your ass aside and you don't give a shit if you go to the public and whatever. You do whatever you can for the sake of your children that are out there missing, right? And so anything like less than that to me is bullshit on the parents' part, because again, that just to me is selfishness, and that means like why. But when these cases are weird, like in this situation, there's definitely like why, like quit talking about yourselves. How about you talk about Jack and Lily? How about you make it about Jack and Lily, right? Instead of like Daniel and Janie always defending themselves all the time with all this BS. Daniel finally learned to shut his mouth for a while, which he should have probably done a long, long time ago. But it's okay for us, because the more we got to listen to Daniel, the more we realized exactly the type of person he is. Regardless of Jack and Lily's disappearance, we got to see a lot of what has gone on in that household, and they disappeared underneath Malaya's and Daniel's care, regardless, right? But it's just such a sad case. My heart just goes out to Jack and Lily, to the family members that really want to have answers, and yet they've had to watch, you know, all this BS in the case going on. Uh, well, exactly, right? But only because we don't know the answer truly, like, even though, of course, we feel like a lot of us feel like they aren't alive, and a lot of us have our thoughts and theories about what happened to Jack and Lily, you know. Um, to me, absolutely sus, this case. Sus, sus, sus. But obviously, nobody has been charged with anything at this point anyway. So, again, it's just more about our feelings and how we feel about it. But all we want is answers, right? Through it all, you just want answers. The families want to move on. They want to find answers, move on, and just deal with the next step in the process of, this sad situation that's going on. Simple as that. Yeah. Thanks. Hey, Root Strength, how are you on there? Hi, C Legal. Nice to see ya. Let's see, Chicken Whisperer. I started thinking about getting a dog, and then training to search today. We have no cadaver dogs here. I start researching, and citizens can have them. I didn't know that. Oh, interesting. Yeah, obviously, like the cadaver dogs, it's not like Canada has this wealth of cadaver dogs around and this wealth of resources, unlike the United States, that they're like boom, right? Um, I think that, like, a lot of cases, because I don't know why, but when from the outside looking in, it's so easy for us to judge, about all the mistakes that we kind of feel has happened, whether it's Jack and Lily's case or Nancy Guthrie's case or Sebastian Rogers' case. And I really wish that it was actually like, like that it was implemented, that when people are missing, it's considered, you deem it as a crime, and then you back the people off the property, right? And you do that, and then you lower it down. I've heard FBI agents say this, talk about this. A lot of people talk about this, and I just I don't get it. I don't get it, because a lot of times when people disappear, at the end of the day, a lot of times it has to do with family members, maybe a mom or a dad taking out their child and stuff like that. We see that a lot in the United States cases. I just don't get it. Sebastian Rogers, contaminated site. Nancy Guthrie, contaminated site. Same with this Jack and Lily's case, contaminated, right? People are just walking in and out of the trailers and stuff like that. And then it's like, oh, I thought we were going to find him in a couple hours. Oh, darn. Now we have to backtrack our asses, stuff like that. Okay. So thank you guys all for being here. Appreciate that. I'm quickly going to show this. So again, Brad's in the house. That's Boss Man and his wife Mary. Anyways, thank you guys for being here. And I truly, want to show my love always for Belinda, Chelsea, Brad and his wife, for being, like advocates for, Jack and Lily, amongst many others. So I just want to always say thank you. Brad never did have to speak to me. Belinda never had to speak to me. Haley never had to speak to me. You know, um, Malaya never had to speak to me. Daniel never had to speak to me, but they did, and stuff like that. Darren, Durwood, as you guys want to call him, and it's just, anyways, bottom line is I've appreciated everyone that's wanted to just find answers for Jack and Lily and, you know, try to help the truth be told. Now, I'm going to show you a quick video that Brad sent me today. And it's only a 12-second video, okay? But basically, it's James Mackenzie driving by with his daughter, video recording. Even it's hard to see that they're video recording, like if unless you slow it down. But so he was recording them, and so but so why is James Mackenzie driving around with his daughter, you know, um, video recording Brad? Like what? Why do you guys think that? Like these Mackenzies, it's almost like, like having a bunch of wolf pack that circle his property of the Mackenzies, Martells, right, all around him. Almost like someone trying to strong arm in a sense, like, well, there's 20 of us and only one of you, but why do you guys think? So let me just play this really quick. I'll play it a couple times. I'll make it bigger. Well, that's the biggest I can get, but is that okay? Play again. Okay. So as you can see, right, like it's hard to see, but like staring right there, you know, uh recording and James Mackenzie's with his daughter as they drive by. Look at all that snow. Look at all that darn snow. Yeah. I'll do it one more time. Kind of okay. We'll just kind of keep it there. Okay. And okay. So why do you guys think that Mackenzies are so interested in video recording Brad? Never even okay, so okay, so let me make sure I get this right because it's the brother of Wayne Mackenzie and Ron Mackenzie. Okay. So that's who. So then there's James Mackenzie. Okay. Weak, pathetic. Whoops. Weak, pathetic. Trying to intimidate. Because even Brad's like, what for? Like, why? What's your purpose? I don't know. It's like like the way I think in my personal self about the Mackenzies and that Martells, I just feel like the Beverly Hills always just plays in my mind, like, you know, like trying to intimidate, trying to push their weight around that area, and stuff like that. Have a cup of kiss my ass, right? Intimidation. DM is silent and now Janie is talking. She must feel guilty. Yeah. Honestly, I couldn't care to listen to Hagbag's voice, to be honest with you, anymore. There's nothing. There's nothing that any of them can say, right? Meaning when it comes out of Malaya's or Daniel's, Janie's mouth, I literally don't give a shit anymore. Oh yeah, the grave digger. That's right. So this is the ones that people were saying, right? So he's the grave digger. That's right. Um, there's Belinda right there. Hi, Belinda. Let's see here. Yeah, so I honestly, I'm at the point I just don't give a shit what they have to say anymore. I don't, because all it is shit on top of shit and stacking it and stacking and stacking it. And after a while, it gets old and it gets boring because at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the RCMP and whoever wants to come forth with information that can help propel this case is what's going to matter. And I don't believe that the truth is going to come out of Daniel's mouth for sure, Janie's mouth for sure, any of the Mackenzie'S or Martell, maybe the odd one in there. But other than that, I'm just, time, right? Just trust in the process. And it might take longer than what we want to happen, because I'm not a patient person. I got a lot of patience, but I'm not a patient person when you think that something is going to be solved rather quickly, and then it turns into weeks, months, years, and you're like, dang, like, but lots of times it comes down to the evidence. And again, it might not be the fact that they already know exactly the gist of it, but need bodies, need to tie the evidence, right? If there's people culpable of Jack and Lily's disappearance, or I think there is, myself personally, then again, you need the evidence, and it needs to be tied. You get one kick at the bucket, and so if it takes longer, it's got to take longer for justice to prevail for Jack and Lily. Okay. So again, my question, I'll play this video once again. So this is James Mackenzie, and, with his daughter, and he's video recording, Brad, and so Brad's video recording. Yeah. Just to show, I don't think this is the first time, if I'm correct, right, Brad? I don't think this is the first time that they've been video recording you. One more time. Boom, 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 boom. Right, like, honestly, Belinda, much love. Never even heard of, right. You said that's weird. Just kind of looking up here, trying to intimidation. That's how, like, honestly, are they trying to flip the script as if somehow Brad had something to do with the children's disappearance? Like, what for? Honestly, the only people that keep portraying that is the Mackenzie, like near the start when Daniel Martell, and he had those posts where he's like, well, there's a reason why they're looking at the neighbor first. No, dickhead. They were looking at you first. All right. And they probably still are absolutely looking at you. And again, Daniel Martell, biggest smile on my face that you had to make an appearance in court, on exactly the 10-month anniversary. It's just kind of like karma, just kicking in there, right? Knowing that that they were indictable offenses. His next court date is March 30th, and stuff like that. Again, couldn't have a bigger smile for a big douche. Simple as that. So let's see here. I bet Daniel is really tired of having his mom talking. Come on. I think the public is tired, of listening to that voice, to be honest with you. Okay. She's making things, on MD, the person's channel, Janie talks with me, right? I listened to a couple of minutes. Honestly, I listened to a couple of minutes, this whole freaking cry fake thing going on, poor me syndrome. I literally couldn't. I just couldn't. And I didn't even care. I literally actually didn't even care what she had to say, because no matter what, right? She can spew whatever she wants. They've already, like I said, made their beds, in a sense, who they are, their personalities, right, and stuff like that. Don't care at all. What I care about is just finding answers for Jack and Lily, and we're certainly not going to get the truth out of, them. Okay, we want people telling the truth that literally didn't live on that property, that have some truth busters. But Daniel had Logan by his side, freaking wing woman there, in the courtroom. And Logan has always, I'm not going to say her and diss Logan. She obviously, it's her cousin, blah, blah, blah. But I remember when she first started talking, and I remember when she avoided questions that I knew the answer to already. So I knew she was caught in lies as I was listening to it. Not lies, but yes, she basically, we'll call it white lies, because it's kind of like when she doesn't want to answer, so she just kind of bullshits her way through the answer, but yet you already know the answer already, type of thing. So, she did remember that interview with Susan there, and then a lot of the stuff she was saying was literally out of, you could tell like what Daniel had told her as well. Granted, she was at the property that day, but during all the scuffle and stuff like that. But a lot of stuff she was saying would be what Daniel would have told her as well. And hey, you know what? If she wants to stand by her cousin and stuff like that, whatever, you're probably on the wrong side of the fence on this one, Logan, though, but we'll see what happens. Okay. Just good for showing what kind of people they are. Here, I'll put up Jack and Lily's faces here again, who tries to bother someone who is doing the right thing for two missing children. Yeah, exactly. Isn't that's what I find pathetic, right? No, yes, that's exactly it. No, it happened more than once. Absolutely. This is what I find funny. Okay. DT had judged Bossman by his past. And I looked at his past and I didn't, because, you're looking for, is there something that would be relatable to Jack and Lily's disappearance? And he kind of, DT hung that over Bossman's head, and he has an issue with him. I don't. Bossman has been nothing like, granted, people have passed, definitely, absolutely, right? But Bossman Brad has been nothing but forthcoming, talking, searching, trying to help out to whatever he can. He's, gone off on a mission to look at some property around his home. I believe it was, I'm not sure if it was for Shenanigans or Daphne there. And then, so, there's nothing that has shown me that he is lying about hearing a vehicle between 12 to 5 go back and forth, let alone Justin Sundance there, that also heard a vehicle, right? So yet the Mackenzie'S are sitting there with their camcorder, whatever, videotaping Brad. Again, why? Why? Right? So who's shady to me? Who's shady here? Is it the Mackenzie'S, that are remember the one from the search where it was please bring me home, that goes off, off his rails there as they're searching? Like, you're looking for two kids, right? So you're doing shit like that. You're getting pissed off at what, people that are near your property or stuff like that. When Jack and Lily are missing, what does that tell you about these people? Like, seriously, what do you have to hide? Right? Because good people, no problem. Someone's missing, children are missing, absolutely. Here you go. Right? But anyways, yeah, whatever. Like I said, the truth will find itself. Definitely. Justice will prevail for Jack and Lily. Just might take longer than we wanted. But for me, I'm just happy that so far, like, this secondary case is moving forward. Indictable offenses, not summary, where it's more like a bit of a slap on the wrist. Indictable, talking jail time if convicted. Happy about that. Yeah. All I'm thinking about is, Janie, you probably won't be able to get Timu anymore, because you're probably going to have to, like, give your son some commissary, something like that. Put some money into the commissary, if he's indicted, of course. Probably that's going to have to happen. But yeah. Yeah. I'm just looking, which Mackenzie's is supposed to be the grave digger. That's James Mackenzie, dinosaur. So I feel like the family wants his land and hate him because of it. Well, I can hate him all he wants, but you know what? Like I said, it's when people try to, like I said, try to, like, flex, and you're like, you're watching these people that are now, like, in their 60s and stuff, and it's like, okay, flex, and your freaking arm is like sagging down south there, and it's like, it's just, like I said, it reminds me of a pack of wolves just trying to kind of, in a sense, gang up together. And, I mean, they have shown their true colors, right? We got, what's his name again? What's Daniel's dad's name again? Shit, can't think of it all of a sudden. Anyways, right? He goes freaking bipolar ass on his Facebook posts and shit like that, and you don't hear nothing at all from Justin whatsoever, which is probably not such a bad thing, to be honest with you, because I think there's enough damage done on that side for personalities are pretty clear. That just shows that they don't care about try to be intimidating. For all those who have spoken out for Jack and Lily have done the right thing, right by them. A big thank you goes to you. Absolutely, thank you. For anyone, right? Jack and Lily, first and foremost, are the victims of this whole thing. They are what matter most. Trying to get the truth out of the participants that were, on that land of 1407 Gairloch Road that day. Yeah, okay, not going to be getting the truth out of there. Where the truth lies fully with what happened to Jack and Lily remains to be seen, you know. Um, but at the end of the day, all we can do is keep, caring about Jack and Lily, caring about the people, hitting that like, hitting that share, keeping their faces out there, talking about them. And during this downtime when it feels like not much is going on, well, there's going to be stuff going on because obviously Daniel and his court dates, right? Um, mm, mm, mm. But anyways, but it always happens that there's these lulls, and you can't help but start thinking like, is this case going to go cold? Is there going to be answers for Jack and Lily? Happens all the time. They're already talking about that with Nancy Guthrie's case, and it's only been a month, and basically when all leads are exhausted is kind of when a case is cold until something else breaks in the case. I feel with Jack and Lily's, it's a matter of time, but I think that, well, I would like it, you know, solved yesterday, just for the family members to move on. But I also realize after watching all these different crimes for years, you know, not everything happens the way we would like it to happen. Hi, Sky Painter. Nobody's perfect. Oh. We know the shady folks they stand out like fence posts, right? The Mackenzie'S must be scared, doesn't help the black sheep DM now has other criminal charges to deal with. Yeah. You know what? I'm not going to lie. Um, in my head, and this is just my own personal thoughts, but, you know, I'm how he's trying to act like he's confident as he's going into court. Da, 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 da. I bet you any money, he's been shitting his diapers now. Like he's gonna probably start shit, unless he's that big of a narcissist. I'm pretty sure that you know what? You reap what you sow. That's all I can say. You reap what you sow. What you put out to the universe and you get back. Don't blame the universe when it comes and bites you back in the ass for who you are as a human being on this planet. That's all I can say. You know, karma's a bitch. They all volatile in the family. Yeah. I mean, so it's kind of like, the talk is cheap in a sense, really, right? Because it will all come down to, evidence, people showing their personalities about who they truly are and stuff like that. So, like you're trying to convince people that aren't in charge of arresting you that you have nothing to do with anything, that you're a victim, and that Malaya was abusive, and that you were all innocent, type of thing, and yet you contradict yourself over and over and over. It's like yawnable. Listening to Janie, it's like a screech to the ears that you don't. It's like putting your hands down a chalkboard and just going, "Yeah, no, not going to happen." That's how I feel about that voice. Okay. Mom, my past doesn't include robbing all my neighbors. Kelly represents TG's and my past doesn't include robbing all my neighbors. Does yours? I don't know what that conversation's really going on about. So I'm going to ignore that. Thanks, Sunny. Remind me. But if someone's being ignorant or something to Brad Wong, don't. I'll expect to give you a boot in your ass out of here. Okay. Um. Oh, Kelly Dobson. She being Kelly. Are you being ignorant? What would the Wong? would the Wongs take a polygraph? You know, honestly, I'm at that point in my life where I just don't give a shit about people that are ignorant. I'm just gonna kick you out, ban you. You know, I don't got time for that type of stupidity. You know, like seriously, grow a freaking brain. So I block Kelly. I don't give a shit. You know, I don't have time of day for people like this. Yeah, thank you. She's gone now, so she can piss off on there. Justin has become the invisible man. Yeah, so let's Kelly, Kelly, you should put more effort. You know what gets me though, okay, is all these people that preach about others, and yet they forget that their own backyard stinks sometimes too, right? As I hate it when people act like their lives are perfect, like they never ever watched a free movie illegally, that they didn't ever do anything wrong or stuff like that. And then they come preaching about somebody else's life, in a sense, and they have this holier than thou bullshit, and whatever. Well, again, right, take it, leave, booted her. I just don't know how, because nobody's perfect, right? And the thing is like I said, there's a lot of people that you guys want to talk about people that have passed. Just like I said, go watch JLR, right? Go watch somebody that spent 10 years in prison. All right. And, obviously, whatever I mean, I can read him like a book, but beyond that, at least he's making money legitly now. Right. I mean, one of my favorite people I watched spent a lot of time in prison on YouTube. And then he changed his life around, and he was a jewelry thief basically and stuff like that, but does it have anything to do with Jack and Lily missing? Can somebody have a past? Absolutely. Can they change for the better? Absolutely. You know, but for people when they think that their lives are so perfect and they haven't done anything wrong at all, and maybe it might be on different levels, but you know what? Again, but to come in here and attack like that on somebody, piss off. Um, the gravedigger uncle that drives around. Yeah, the family is unreal. Yeah, that's Charmaine's channel there. Uh, fact, power of loveism. Fact that is Jamie Mackenzie of Nova Scotia, who was linked to Diagolon. I'm not sure what that is at all. To be honest with you, if only JM and EM would have held DM accountable, he might not be where he is now. Preach it. Yeah, I'd have to actually care about him, to be honest, and I don't. Um, Kelly, yeah, so we're gonna ignore anything to do with Kelly. She can kiss off on that stuff. The scariest I noticed him to be was when the cadaver dogs were searching the area. The most thing that made me laugh the most is when he was so pissed off that the dogs came in that he literally in my chat said, "Well, now I have the nerve to tell you guys pretty much everything." No, dude, you already have. It was so Daniel. Daniel. Scary. Kelly, I think is more up to the police who gets a polygraph. Yeah, we could just yeah. Why don't we just give Kelly a police hat over there? It's like at my job, or when people say how something should be, you in your head, you're like, well, why don't you come here and do the job then, since you're so great at saying how things should be, Love those people. Love it. I find out where I live. Hey Shanann. Hey Shanann, I saw you on the actually, you know what? Let's just have a moment of happiness. Let's just play that again. 1 second here. Share screen. This one. Nope, that one. Here. Let's just have a moment of smiles, people, okay? And if you're a Daniel lover, well, you're in the wrong chat, to be honest with you. All right.
Daniel Martell walks into the Pictou County Provincial Courthouse Monday morning, met by a symphony of shutter clicks. He's been charged with 1 count of assault, 1 count of sexual assault, and 1 count of unlawful confinement against an adult female between September 2024 and March 2025.
The window of the charge, the multiple charges that are before the court, are beyond 12 months. I would proceed by indictment based upon the time frame of the charges because there is no statute of limitations per se, other if you're proceeding by way of indictment.
Martell first became a familiar figure in the media when his stepchildren, 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan, went missing on May 2nd, 2025. To this day, Nova Scotia RCMP say the case remains a missing persons investigation, and Martell maintains his innocence. But now, these new allegations put Martell under a different spotlight. There was only standing room left in Pictou County's Courtroom A as Martell was arraigned on his charges. His appearance lasted no more than 3 minutes before Judge McKean dismissed him. Leaving the courtroom immediately after, Martell declined media's requests for comment. Despite the heightened interest in this case, the Crown wants to remind the public that in the eyes of the court, this matter is separate from that of missing children, Lily and Jack Sullivan. And as such, the victim's identity must be protected.
And that violation of a...
Okay. Yeah, we don't need to hear the rest of that, to be honest with you. Okay. Well, I don't think I want to leave it like on that face. Let's go back to this right here. Justice for Jack and Lily. Where are Jack and Lily? Absolutely. So again, bright smile on my face. Doesn't want to seem to talk. I still always remember Daniel saying he can have the best lawyers. I guess the best lawyers would be the legal aid lawyers that he would have to use because he couldn't afford an actual lawyer. Probably nobody wants to defend him, to be honest with you, besides the legal aid lawyer. But anyways, best of luck to you on that one, Daniel. Let's see, Shan. Only if boss man. But anyway, yeah, so shenanigans. She was in that video. I seen her at the start, then I seen her at the end. As well outside there. I'm not sure who else was there. I just saw Shanann. And Shan, if only boss man is still down sometime, would never want to wait. Oh, what are you guys talking about? What are you guys talking about? What are you guys talking about? What did I miss? What did I miss? I'm missing something because that's only a piece. Shan, only if boss man is still down sometime, would never. All I know is Chelsea, fees go through me when it comes to Bossman. Whatever you're talking about, fees go through me, okay? Just kidding. He found his sweater, maybe he can. Just trying to figure out what you guys are talking about. Get together for coffee. Okay. I'm a little stronger than coffee, okay? I'll buy. Hi, Ariel. How are you? Yep, I'm just trying to read what you guys are saying here. You guys, who's ever in here, please, again, it's important that we hit that like and the share, right? Keep Jack and Lily's out there. Always do it for the victims, first and foremost. Why? Because you care. Simple as that. So thank you very much for everyone that has done it and for everyone that hasn't done it. Would you mind, please, on there? I'm just going to also play this other video from a month ago, when they show kind of like, with Cheryl in it and what's her name? Angelina or something like that. I'm not going to not the one where they're sitting at the table talking. Not that one. I'll show you which one right now. Let's see here. One with precious little Jack and Lily faces on there. Boom, 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 boom. And honestly, if you're here not for Daniel, please hit that like and share, especially because, again, big smile on my face, okay? Just for the person that he is. May karma just, come bite you in the ass tenfold for just being the human being that you are and that you've portrayed. And all those, and this is all based on, too, besides what we've listened to, all those messages to Taylor that he outed himself on, about the abuse on, that Arlo and Ray, I think it's Rain, saying about the abuse on Jack and Lily and stuff like that. Like his own words, right, have literally, bloop, bloop, bloop. It's like a sinking Titanic ship, is what it is right there. Stop screen, share screen. we'll just watch this one for a minute if you guys don't mind. It's 3 minutes and 47 seconds.
Children with soft smiles, frozen in time, now just memories.
You wonder every day where they are.
The mother of missing children, Jack and Lily Sullivan, Malaya Brooks Murray, has faced intense criticism online for staying quiet. But now, 9 months after the children disappeared, her inner circle is speaking out.
Her behavior to a lot of people may seem odd, but until you're in that situation, you really don't know how you would act.
Robinson says Brooks Murray hasn't been doing well. She's lost weight, taking it day by day and out of the public eye.
I guess if you know Malaya, that isn't out of the ordinary for her. That's just who she is. She was always quiet.
6-year-old Lily and 5-year-old Jack were reported missing from their home in rural Nova Scotia last May. It's a mystery that remains unsolved despite days of searches and an extensive investigation by RCMP Major Crimes. Brooks Murray's mother says the past 9 months have been torture. Cindy Murray didn't want to be interviewed on camera, but she told CBC the hardest part for her family is not knowing what happened.
It's just a nightmare. I can't describe it. It's mental torture to figure out, like, how come it's taking so long.
For a year and a half, Brooks Murray lived with her common law partner, Daniel Martell, in this home with Jack, Lily, and their baby daughter.
As part of the investigation, police asked Brooks Murray and Martell about their relationship. Their statements are detailed in search warrant applications that were sought early on in the case. According to court documents, in the weeks before the children were reported missing, the couple had been fighting about money. An affidavit filed by RCMP to request a search warrant says Brooks Murray told police Martell would take her phone from her when she tried to call her mom, which would sometimes be physical and hurt. Martell told RCMP there was no physical violence.
Robinson says the day the children went missing was the first time she saw where the family had been living. She was shocked.
Just the condition of the house. I mean, she had left because we weren't leaving her there.
On January 29th, Martell was charged with assault, sexual assault, and forcible confinement related to an adult complainant. He has not responded to requests for comment on the charges, but in early January, he sat down for an interview with CBC. Martell says RCMP took a blood sample from him in December, and he says there was a box checked on the consent form that said no criminal involvement.
I've known since the start that I'm 100% innocent, but to see it visually with my own eyes, it was a big thing.
Cute.
Cindy Murray says RCMP don't provide many details, but as time ticks on, it's harder to be patient.
I hope that they're checking every avenue and doing as much as they possibly can.
The head of Major Crimes in Nova Scotia says it's not easy keeping his cards close to his chest, but they have to protect the investigation.
As far as I'm concerned, it's not going to be a cold case. This is a case that needs to be solved. So we will pursue every avenue available to us to ascertain what happened with Jack and Lily.
Ali Thompson, CBC News, Halifax.
So sad. 1 second here. I love the new videos that came out, about a month ago there with Jack and Lily and seeing them. And it's just so heartbreaking. Like, I love seeing the new videos, just because, again, it's just little moments of Jack and Lily, like this one getting on the bus. But as for Daniel, I don't know. I wonder if the police, at the time that Daniel said that there was this box, I've seen that form. I think a lot of us have. And there's this imaginary box that says, you know what, you're innocent, dude. But I feel like the police must have been like literally slapping their knee, laughing their asses off, just listening to the BS that comes out of that man's mouth. Seriously, it's a joke. Whatever he says, just don't take it literally, because you don't know where the truth lies in the midst of all the lies. Simple as that. But I just feel like they were kind of howling, like probably a lot of us, when Daniel was like, well, that box just proved I'm innocent, like the polygraph and stuff like that. Well, you know what? Time will tell, Daniel. time will tell. Until that point, at least there's like I said, the court case going on right now. Just because you're such a decent human being, lovable, caring, kind, you wouldn't do anything. You wouldn't send any message to anyone saying otherwise about yourself. I just find it so ridiculous that someone says something and then you can sit there and support it with his own messages to back up those lies. Uh, uh, wait. What? Personally block them. Here, let me see what you guys have said there. And by the way, I got rid of that J person or whatever. I blocked, banned his, butt on that one on there. Oh, Chanel, I guess you're blushing. Okay. Do. Oh, for the people that haven't seen it, I'll just quickly play this video again. So, Brad had sent me the video earlier when I was at work with regards to James Mackenzie with his daughter as they're driving by, like video recording him. So he's recording that, and send it to me just to show you like why. Just again, why? Why are they so interested in Brad, right? Like I said, I kind of think it's just kind of one of those. Honestly, what possibly could they gain from the footage of sitting there going, "Oh yeah, got his house. Whoops, yeah, got his house again. Yep, there he is outside. Yep, got him again." Like what? Like awesome evidence of what? Brad like snow plowing, shoveling his snow, standing there in his own yard, and it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I'll play that one more time. Oh, there you go. So interested in Brad Wong. Why? Why Mackenzie's? Why? So anyways, very sinister. Anyways, I'm not going to be on this live very much longer. I was planning on doing a Nancy Guthrie one after this one. Just because like both cases intrigue me. When I say intrigue me, it's not to take away from the victims, but it's when things aren't normal. And certainly Jack and Lily's case is far, far from normal. It's far from normal, the actions of these so-called parents on the property and their actions thereof. It's really crazy to know that 2 children disappear, vanish without a trace at the moment. No idea what happened to them and what we've witnessed with regards to the actual people that are on the property, Mother Malaya and Daniel Martell and, and Janie. Janie, to me, she's just like side noise, wah, 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 type of thing. But she wasn't like, regardless whatever role she does or doesn't play, it's Daniel and Malaya that are the ones that were in charge of Jack and Lily, and, this whole that, well, if they opened the door, like then they snuck out and then they closed it. But when they close it, they have to both put their hands on the door in order to shut that door and all that stuff, as if none of this was being heard. And, the timeline of this, when the children disappeared, it's just call BS on all that, but I don't really care what any of them have to say at all, still no voice from their own mom. So sad. Yeah. I'm kind of confused about the whole, like I've always been, and I'm sure you guys have too, been very confused about Malaya's, where Malaya plays in all of this. Malaya's trying to leave Daniel, and this is just hypothetically, right? Well, no, that's part's not hypothetically, but I'm just meaning in general, like the thoughts that go through my head is we have, to me, what is deemed as someone that's controlling, narcissistic, always places blame on everybody but himself. He constantly has snapshots to to differ from what he said. So you always catch him in a bunch of lies all the time and stuff like that. And and you just think to yourself, like, all these people are pretty much putting themselves to sleep for a while. Like they were in and out of sleep at some point. Malaya has Daniel sleeping the entire time through, but yet, gets up and Daniel's doing meth in the bathroom at whatever it was, 4 a.m. or whatever in the morning. Who's really sleeping? All of a sudden, they all have kind of some sort of amnesia about the timeline of Thursday, and Daniel gets it all mixed up. And again, the words in those documents are simply that, they're words. Doesn't make them true. Absolutely not. Janie saying I was feeding them snacks all day, like on Thursday. Really? But they were out, remember? Till close to 4 o'clock, but like 3:11 or whatever, and it just never made sense. All of it. Like, again, it just boils down to, if you're telling the truth is easy to tell. But we haven't seen that. So if you're not watching the truth, then that must mean that there's lies going on. There's deception, there's cover-ups, there's BS, right? So, and we're being misled to trying to a different narrative, a narrative of theirs. So that just doesn't happen in these cases. It's just not the way that these cases go when you're being truthful. Yeah, it's sleeping disease. Absolutely. Like I said, I've gone over the timeline so many times just to keep pulling out the inconsistencies and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, Malaya stood behind Daniel's story that she heard the kids that morning. And then later on, we hear that she's seen Lily at 8:20, calls her mom at 8:28, Janie's having her smoke and feeding chickens, and, her brother Ron at 8:48, I believe it was, something like that, and yet Malaya's awake and she's trying to call her mom, and, all this stuff's going on. And it's just, again, it's just so inconsistent, but their actions are matching the inconsistencies as well, right? So what does that really, when you're looking at something, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that when inconsistencies in stories, are going on, and then to watch the actions that have happened ever since Jack and Lily have gone missing, then what do you mean? You wonder why the spotlight's on you guys? Shocker, right? Of course it is. Because the people that usually have something to do with it is the people that are closest to the children, or someone that they know. Simple as that. Justice for Jack and Lily. Absolutely. Right. But again, it's not about just the inconsistencies, right? The actions, and sitting there, all these amnesia moments, right? Can't remember timelines. All of a sudden, it gets all foggy about timelines. At one point, Jeannie says that, what, basically, like, the kids are outside. I just left them playing while I went in for dinner, or like, I just left them and went in for dinner. But all of a sudden these memories get all foggy. So again, it's just like shit on top of shit on top of shit on top of shit, right? It just doesn't make sense. And so when you see all that, it's not hard. It's not rocket science that lying's going on in this case, right? For Jack and Lily. And the sad thing is that Jack and Lily are two children, and we have to stand by here and keep watching this all play out. How unfair, is that, to learn about Jack and Lily's home conditions, the fact that Malaya, who knows what, if she was doing drugs or not, but she knew, she said, right, according, like, in her own message to me type of thing, like, that she found out that Daniel was doing drugs when she was getting whatever, some epidural or whatever it was, giving birth to, oh my goodness, Meadow. It's a little Meadow there. And poor little Meadow, through all of this as well, and yet Daniel and Malaya are what, the victims here of anything? No, like zero. Sorry. Again, I can't feel sorry when all this BS is going on. I'm not a poor Malaya person, poor Daniel, poor Janie. I'm poor Lily and Jack, and that's it, right? I think inconsistencies will be there. It will all come out in the wash. It will. And And that's what we have to keep praying for and hoping for Jack and Lily. I hate associating Jack and Lily to the fact of, these beautiful faces, as a mother, again, as a parent, they deserve every opportunity to thrive, to be in a loving environment, to be cared about, but Malaya stayed in this relationship, like she stayed in this relationship knowing that Daniel's doing meth and stuff like that. I mean, the school has said, right, they had to give them clothing, and Cheryl in that interview, like even Belinda, right? Like nobody expected, in a sense, Cheryl not seeing Malaya for a couple of years, Belinda not seeing the children or Malaya in that for a year and a half or so. No one really expected to walk in those conditions of what they were living in, and you could see by when Cheryl was talking there, again, right? It was like basically like disgust face. It's like these children are living in this environment. Look at all the death traps around the home, right? And it just breaks your heart. And then it breaks your heart to know that all this stuff is going on, and yet they got smiles on their faces, because they don't know any better, right? Children are a product of their environment. I truly, I can't stress this enough. I truly have to put my mind in two modes, because if I keep thinking about these children, Jack and Lily, my heart is just so over, with tears inside. And that's why I have to box when I'm talking about them. But as I'm talking about them, sometimes it's the anger I feel that these children are 10 months, no answers. And yet the probably, most likely, it is not going to be a good outcome. Probably 99.99999%. And that's just heartbreaking beyond repair to even think about that. And I'm not even related. And I don't care what anyone says. I am such a deep empath when it comes to children. And that's why with my son, even though, me and my son in his teenage years during the divorce, have had problems, obviously, because they don't understand. They don't understand exactly what truly was going on and stuff like that, and to ever harm a hair on a child's head, it's just the bottom of the barrel scum. But it's these two children. I can't think about it. There's too many cases where wicked people do wicked things to children. Charles agrees. Sleeping or cleaning is a great excuse. So yeah, how many times was that place cleaned on Thursday? And then Daniel was supposed to clean again on Thursday? Was it? Crazy. Their stories just don't make sense. It's just BS to me. Like I said, I don't care what Daniel says anymore. It's like, just let the karma come, let the justice work, let the RCMP get those links, if they have any involvement. These are the school pictures, I believe. Yeah, so you got to know that they were very happy. Yeah, whenever I think of Jack, I always think of the bus driver when he says like that Jack always took off his boot and threw it at him. And we do know that Lily's very vocal and stuff like that, just kids being kids. That truck passes by his house. I would think that they would draw attention to the missing Yeah, right. Belinda, yeah, Shannon, the only victims along with the baby. Absolutely. Hi, Chelsea. I pray for you and your mom. Hopefully we'll learn the truth. Yeah. Yeah. I just can't believe that, again, it's so hard to believe, because you think at the start of this case that the children were going to be found, right? that they were just in the woods somewhere. They were just ran off, da 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 da. And as soon as as soon as the first day passes and the second day comes along, you know that something's not right. When the third day comes around, you absolutely know that something's not right, you know. And then to sit here and know that we're 10 months later, and every day that these family members just have to wake up with such a huge hole in their hearts, it's sad. Yeah, I always put myself in their shoes, in somebody's shoes, just because I know that I would absolutely be just devastated beyond repair. But it's one of those things. Uh, you fight, and it's like the strength that you didn't realize you have comes out, and you realize that you have a lot more strength than what you actually believed, and it's almost like you don't stop, and then maybe when answers finally come, and that justice happens for Jack and Lily, it's not going to ever take away anything, but you know then it's kind of like when you shop at Christmas time and there's this big buildup, and then after that lots of times people get sick because they've just been going and stuff like that, and then it's almost like the minute you take a breath, you know then it's kind of like, you just, like I said, release it and then try to move on. And right now it's just been like going like this, for, Belinda, Chelsea, the family members out there that just want answers for Jack and Lily. But like Belinda, right? She's been a very big advocate on here, and Chelsea, her daughter, with her along the way. And it's just every day waking up to the same, it's almost like a Groundhog Day, right? Looking for answers, hoping and praying something comes, nothing happens, then another day comes along. And it's like you're working on probably fuel, just, fumes, to be honest with you. Just think about that if you were in those shoes, and just fighting every day to come online, see if something's happened, behind the scenes, trying to get answers and stuff like that. Just wanting people to be honest and truthful to what happened to Jack and Lily. Just couldn't imagine. Well, I can imagine, but couldn't imagine, Yeah, I like those two pictures of them as well. And agree, Sunny, and those who help cover up the truth are disgusting. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hoping and praying all the answers come out for Jack and Lily. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just going to read some more comments and then I'm going to head off for the night. I know I know I'm not doing as many lives in that, but never think that I'm stopping or anything doing Jack and Lily's case and stuff like that. I know I'm coming into my 12 to 8 shifts and stuff like that. I just have, like I said, a lot of stuff, going on in my own real life as well, in a sense, and I get over it. Like, I spend all day, again, talking with people, right? It's my job. It's always about fixing things, but by the same token, you're always trying to, assist them to make them happy, right? To solve their issues, and I get drained from all the energy that I always put out all day long, right? It's draining being in true crime, and it's draining dealing with issues all day, considering, again, the thing that I like most is comedy, stand-up comedians, watching X Factor stuff, happy things, right? So it's kind of like when I feel overwhelmed, I just kind of go to myself and I go into a shell, because I'm a Cancer, the crab, and I go back into my shell and I just try to, just give myself some breathing room, give myself some time. I've done a lot of paintings for people at work and stuff like that, over the course of Christmas and past. And, sometimes when you're doing something for 5 years and like there's other stuff. So I'm just rejuvenating, in a sense at the moment. I just need to spread my time so that I give myself time, right? And that, so don't think I'll ever forget about, keeping up with Jack and Lily's case. I might not be doing as many lives, but I'll never stop advocating for answers for Jack and Lily. I just hope that those answers come in the near future, just so that the family members can move on and have at least the next step, to dealing with this sad case. Sunny, sadly, the very first interview, I never believed Jack and Lily in the woods or handed off. Well, honestly, Malay's interview to me said it all. The thing I was conflicted at the start was, why is Daniel advocating to search for these children once Malaya leaves him? But her interview, it's kind of like Barry Morphew's interview. The minute I saw it, I was angry. I was angry because I knew Barry Morphew had everything to do with his wife's disappearance, and he puts out this stupid freaking video. Oh, Suzanne, we miss you so much, and fuck off, dude. I'm looking right at you. I see your bullshit. That's how I felt when I watched Malaya's interview. Now, Daniel, I was confused because I was at the start going, well, at the start, Daniel is kind of like, trying to acting like he's the advocate and stuff like that. But it didn't take too long to see those true colors come through. A lot of people, Charmaine included and stuff like that, you kind of bought into Daniel a little bit at the start, because here you had Malaya saying weird things, but you had to know that if one probably knew something, the other knew something. So it was kind of very confusing, but once Daniel's kind of true colors came through, then it was like, no, okay, you guys are both, to me, full of it. But her interview reminded me of Barry Morphew's interview. The moment I heard it, the moment I was pissed off, because everyone can have their own opinions and make excuses and stuff like that. When I see bullshit, I'm going to call it out, because that interview was so horrible from start to finish. And it didn't make sense, the words that were coming out and the lack thereof words that should have been coming out. So, for me, it's kind of like, it just hit me as soon as that interview. I'll never forget, because everything about that interview bugged me. I'm not sitting here for me personally, oh, poor Malaya, she's, struck by the camera and she's this, or, these two children are missing thing. No, you're acting weird. You're saying weird things, and you're not saying things that you should be saying, Second day, I was sure something happened and right. Yeah. Who said that? Oh, hey, Kent. How you doing, buddy? Oh, Kent sent me a video of Michelle Glasgow. I think most of you have seen it. Yeah. You know what? Should I play it? I might as well. I should just play it. I should just play that. Someone else sent me it as well. Let's see here. Where's that video? On there. You guys can just tell me your own thoughts about it all. I'm sure most of you have probably watched it by now. She's a pit bull, that one, eh? Michelle Glasgow. One second. Boom. Sorry, guys. Just trying to pull it up here. Okay. Here, let me just show it. Okay. Okay, let's see.
Here with Stabaganaggity. So I'm getting word there's 3 raids going on currently in 3 different First Nation communities. Bulladek, Bakangag, and Wegoma. I'm hearing that there's going to be more on other communities. So what we're doing in Stabaganaggity, already started, we're going to have checkpoints at our entrance and at our exits. If you're up here visiting family or you live here, come on up. If you're not trying to do us any harm, you're welcome in our community. But for those who want to do us harm by force in our community, you're not welcome here. And if you're foolish enough to come up here, you better be smart enough to figure out how you're getting out. Straight up. Our roads are blocked. So have a good day, everybody. Stay safe. And remember, we as Mi'kmaq has jurisdiction over these lands. Sorry, I'm getting fired up, but I'm tired of this government trying to push us around and tell us what we can do and we can't do. You're not telling us. We're telling you. Hey, everybody. Chief Michelle here.
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, I know there's been a whole bunch of stuff like with Belinda and, the way she spoke and stuff like that. But, at the end of the day, whatever, to be honest with you. I'm not sure what you guys thought of that. All I know is that she's definitely not a quiet person. I'll say that. But I'd rather be looking at Jack and Lily than her, to be honest with you. You don't have an issue with someone who broke into multiple residents and robbed them blind. That's insane. Cool J, thing is about people like you, okay? Is that you're actually writing off other information. Did you deep dive yourself? Have you ever spoken to Brad? Have you deep dive yourself into the information? Or are you just listening to other people's information? That's what I call ignorance. Okay. So again, is your life so clean that you're so perfect? So it's like when people talk out of their ass. That's what you remind me about. So with that being said, Cool J, take offense to this, okay, if you want to, but I'm blocking your ass. Okay? Loser. Go find another home. All right. Must be from DT's channel or something. That is a leader. Now, the path we choose. If we're not out every day talking and looking for your missing children, then you know what? They can't be found in such a way that doesn't make you guilty. Well, you know what? From the very beginning, it's been very like what I call ridiculous actions going on for 2 children that are missing. Yeah, no, sorry. We're entitled to our own opinions, absolutely. So if that's how you feel, absolutely. Again, not to say you have to be out there every single day, right? But definitely coming forth and advocating for Jack and Lily and making it about Jack and Lily, not about themselves, not about, oh, I don't want to come out in front of the camera, so I'll have Cheryl and Angelina do it for me and stuff like that. No, you're the fucking mother. Do it yourself, right? You want to write a note or a letter? Read it yourself and then sign your name properly while you're at it. So for me personally, nah, I just don't make excuses for bullshit behavior. And, they don't have to be doing something every single moment of every single day. I mean, I would. Seth Rogers does, obviously you need a break, just like everyone needs to rejuvenate, but come on, I mean, this is like clear glass right in front of our faces. That's how I see it personally. But again, you can say that and that's fine because that's your opinion. That's perfectly fine. So can't take away that from you. Yeah, Michelle Glasgow. Yeah. Yeah. She's got quite the potty mouth on her too. James was trying to intimidate him. I think so. Like I said, it's like what? The trolls like to come in. It happens with every case. Again, they sit there, whether they're from somebody else's channel, and then they make another name and come in. It's because their lives are so pathetic, to be honest with you. That they have to come in here and just be ignorant because they want to and be trolls. It just honestly, it's that stuff to me is so laughable. And then you just get rid of the trash, take out the trash, right? And that's why, Shannon, you got a wrench, whenever you see people like that trash, give them the freaking, boot. If I see it, I'm blocking, banning them, we just don't need that type of atmosphere in here. People can have their opinions, don't get me wrong, but not to come in here and just be very disrespectful, to people that are trying to find answers for Jack and Lily. No. Don't need those idiots. Those idiots have their special places and it's all not here. Okay. Cindy doesn't want to lose her job, so she's hiding. And I get that too with, like a lot of these people that have been speaking is that, like they do have their jobs. Like they do have, if they put themselves out there too much and stuff like that, like they don't, trust me, they will feel repercussions from their jobs, right? Because at the end of the day is that a lot of jobs they don't give a shit. But if they're getting phone calls about, like say, like, well, I'm just gonna take like Cheryl for instance, right? Or we'll take Cindy. I get it, right? Is that yeah, they do have jobs to go to and stuff like that, but there's still a difference between, you know, you don't necessarily have to say too much besides to say, you know, we're looking for Jack and Lily. Any of your assistants to help us to help the family find answers for Jack and Lily. That's not that's not wrong to say something like that, to come forth and say that. It's another situation like Daniel, who, to have a job and you're literally all over the place making a spectacle of yourself. You literally are humiliating your own self. You're causing your own grief that way. But, no one's asking, say, Cindy to come forth every other day or whatever. It's not, I mean, the children are not hers, they're her grandbabies too. Yeah. And, if she wants to come out, every now and again, do an interview, stuff like that, just to, again, keep Jack and Lily's faces out there. Those are important things to do. Belinda does it her way. Cindy can do it her way all she wants to. At the end of the day, again, Jack and Lily, there's nothing wrong for Malaya, Cindy, anyone else to sit there and just come forward and say, we just need your help. Please, if you have any information, just those simple things like anyone would do for their children. I mean, look what happened in Adam Walsh's case, right? And then you see, his father after that horrific, ordeal back in, was it the 80s, 70s, 80s? And now his son, what's his name? His son's name? Not Calvin. What's his son's name? Anyways, now stepping in his footprints, all because of his own child being murdered. And it's just, just like Abby and Libby's case. Look at Chelsea. Chelsea was on a different path in life, and now she's a big advocator for the murdered and the missing and stuff like that, right? And her whole life kind of went in a different direction. Sometimes there's a bit of a silver lining out of something, that is from a horrific situation, Yeah. Is a prime. True. Not gonna knock that one. Nova Scotia is a small place. Like technically, that's why I hide on the internet. I don't have a job that allows me to speak freely. Yeah, yeah, and of course, and I get that. And I don't tell people where I work and stuff like that. Again, I don't need the trolls in my life and stuff like that. Um, it, you know, we're idiots if we literally tell people, to be honest with you, like what we're like, where our jobs are and stuff. You don't want to be doing stuff like that, you know. But so I do like to speak freely, but my work is separate, and it will stay that way. And then, of course, fighting for justice for Jack and Lily, and if it ever came to that day, so be it. Like, I mean, if ever something happened, and let's just say hypothetically, I lost my job or something like that. That's the way. You know what? That's the way the cookie bounces. Life deals different shit, but I'm not going to go out of my way at all, right? So I get that. Definitely people want to talk, they want to not use their real names and stuff like that, and they can't speak freely because, again, yeah, I mean, what the stuff that people do to people, and I saw this especially in this Suzanne Morphy case. People get so attached to these cases that they'll literally call up your jobs. They'll sit there, like, look at the fucking crazies come out. I'm telling you, like, they're literally call people's jobs, like calling like I literally had someone message my brother from the Delphi case. My brother's like, do you know this person? And I'm like, oh, that fucking loser, you know? And it's just shit like that. And you're just like, really? But the lengths that some people go, honestly, they need to be mentally stabilized or something, because there's a lot of fucktards out there that literally just they get so involved in these cases that they think that they have ownership of the case, that they don't think that they like what this person's saying, like I said, and then they'll call their job going, this person is blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, seriously? Like, seriously, there's so many people that I never knew existed like this in the world. And yet there are. Like, oh my God. It's amazing. The pieces of shit that exist on the internet platform or that come into these cases, but they just get so twisted up thinking that they just get so absorbed by the case that it's like it engulfs everything, and then they turn into whack jobs basically. I think that there have been veiled threats after intimidation towards MBM's side of the family. Angeline did say she was nervous that DM knows where she lives. There is a pattern of behavior that is off. High Sky Painter, absolutely. Genes run strong. Sunny, with the charges against Daniel, I think the RCMP are closing in on him for the missing children. This is only I agree with you, Kim. I feel like this is going to be like, like I said, watching the Titanic sink. We're starting. You're trying to find answers for Jack and Lily. And then it's kind of like, oh well, here's a starting point here of now these charges. I think it's just going to keep spiraling and sinking, right? And again, I'm sure Daniel is probably shitting his pants. He's probably sitting there cuddled up, perhaps maybe with mama there, but mama can't protect your son from charges at this level. So we'll just have to see where it all goes. I don't feel sorry for Daniel whatsoever. He's made his bed of who he is. He's put out all the different information and stuff like that. So again, reap what you sow to the universe. One of my daughters is on TV and radio, and yes, the whack job. Oh yeah, they do. Good night, Ariel. Okay. It's 8:05, 1 hour and 20. Anyways, I'm so glad that you guys were able to come in tonight, and I was able to do a live tonight. I was just like, yeah, I want to do a live on Jack and Lily, type of thing. I was going to do one on Nancy Guthrie, but I'm thinking I'm going to hold off. You know what? I'm just going to tell you quickly what pissed me off with the Nancy Guthrie case is that at the very start on Facebook, there was this video of the Sheriff Nano talking. And he made this particular statement where he said that, yes, Nancy was seen in the house, right? So I saw that a couple of days ago because I happened to see another YouTuber that I didn't even know really that was playing it. And it was only a portion. So I went to go, so I brought it up, was listening to it. It was like 11 minutes long. And I was going to play it because a lot of people keep acting that as if Nancy wasn't seen, or did she even make it home and stuff like that, right? But a lot of people don't remember this particular interview, and it was on the Facebook of Pima County Sheriff's Department. And I went there to go record it for the live later. Guess what? Guess what's not there anymore? Guess what was taken down? Right? So now I'm trying to find it, and I don't remember the channel. I went through my history, and if anyone's paying attention to the Nancy Guthrie case, it's the one where he's outside and he's wearing like a black jacket and he's talking very low. And it's like, it was, I think, on like the second, or like was it the first or second that he did that interview? I think it might have been the day of. But anyway, so lo and behold, I go to record it, and it said, this page is not available. This page is not available. I don't remember that interview, right? He's talking very low in it. Just quickly, Belinda believes, I'll give you, I just want to stop the screen for a second and just share, just to show you what I'm talking about. Okay. Share. Okay. So just right
This
here
country is 84 years old.
was the interview for it, the one I'm talking about. This is the one that was taken down off the Facebook. I should have recorded it a couple days ago when I was going to.
House also has some concerns.
I'm just gonna. But anyways, so I was in this particular one. They play a few minutes, but at no point do they talk about the part that I'm talking about. It's just that so many people, don't seem to realize about this interview where Nanos actually said that Nancy was seen in her house, right? After she was dropped off, that she was, but most people don't remember this interview. So it just sucks because I was like, just before this live, I was like kicking myself because I didn't record it. And I was just thinking it was going to be there. Stupid me. Yeah. But anyways, hey, boss man, they are failing with it. Yeah. Boss man, you and your wife, Mary. Again, thank you guys so much. Appreciate the video. Any videos you get, I'll be more than willing to share for you guys. But for everyone, Belinda, for Chelsea, family members that might see this, other ones, boss man, you and your wife, thank you again very much. Thank you. Ignore those freaking haters. Who gives a shit? They don't matter. They do not matter. The Mackenzie'S and stuff like that, they don't matter. What will matter is that when the truth comes out for Jack and Lily, and then we'll see who has the last laugh, in a sense. That's a really twisted way, I guess, of saying that, considering, this is a horrific case. But anyways, hi Kent, if you are still here, Belinda believes. But anyways, big hugs, Brad. Thank you for sharing this video with me. Again, what was the purpose? Next time you need one of those freaking snowball launchers, ching, at the vehicle, video this. But anyways, you guys, biggest hugs for Jack and Lily. You guys have a great night, and I'll see you at some time, I'm sure, this weekend. I might do a Nancy Guthrie live tomorrow, but either way, I'll see you this weekend, I believe. Okay, Friday or Saturday, I'm not sure. Anyways, thank you guys so much for being here. Biggest hugs and kisses. Let's leave off with Jack and Lily's faces, their beautiful faces. And if you haven't hit that like and the share, please do. And just thank you guys again for being here. Good night, guys. Yeah. Bye, Belinda. Big hugs. Bye, Chicken Whisperer. Your name's going to crack me up now that I ever say that. Bye, Susie Mac. Bye, TJZ. Bye, Leanne. Okay. Thanks, mods. You guys have a great night. Take care.